The night was eerily quiet, the only sound being the distant rumble of thunder as storm clouds gathered over the horizon. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a leading xenobiologist, was in her lab at the edge of the Peruvian jungle, meticulously cataloging samples she had collected from the mysterious red plants that had started appearing worldwide. These plants, with their crimson leaves and bioluminescent veins, had piqued the scientific community's interest, but also raised alarms due to their rapid and invasive growth. Elena's workspace was cluttered but organized, filled with petri dishes, test tubes, and sophisticated equipment that hummed softly. Her focus was intense, her dark hair pulled back into a messy bun, glasses perched on her nose as she took detailed notes. The red plants, which she had named crimson vines, were unlike anything she had ever seen. Their cellular structure was extraordinary, exhibiting traits of both flora and fauna. As she worked, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The lab, though secure, was isolated, and the nearest town was miles away. Shrugging off the unease, she continued her research, unaware that her life was about to change forever. Suddenly, the power flickered, and the lights dimmed before plunging the lab into darkness. Elena froze, her heart pounding in her chest. The emergency backup lights kicked in, casting a dim red glow over the room. She reached for her phone, intending to call for help, but before she could dial, the room was flooded with a blinding white light. A low hum filled the air, growing louder and more intense. Elena's equipment vibrated on the metal tables, and the air seemed to crackle with static electricity. Panic surged through her as she realized this was no ordinary power outage. She backed away from the light, shielding her eyes, but it enveloped her, lifting her off the ground. In an instant, she was no longer in her lab. The world spun around her, and she felt a disorienting sensation of weightlessness. When the light finally subsided, she found herself in a vast, metallic chamber. The walls were lined with intricate, alien machinery, and the air was cool and sterile. Standing before her was a group of towering figures, their skin a deep crimson, their eyes glowing with an inner fire. They wore armor that seemed to pulsate with energy, and their presence was both intimidating and awe-inspiring. One of them stepped forward, his gaze fixed on Elena with an intensity that made her shiver. "I am General Thrax of the Arixian Empire," he announced, his voice a low, resonant growl that seemed to reverberate through the chamber. "You are now our prisoner." Elena's mind raced. The Arixians were a warlike alien race known for their brutal conquests. She had heard rumors of their existence, but to be standing before them was a different reality altogether. She tried to steady her breathing, reminding herself that she was a scientist first and foremost. Panic would not help her now. "Why have you taken me?" she demanded, her voice surprisingly steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. Thrax's eyes narrowed, and he regarded her with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. "You are a xenobiologist, are you not? Your work with the crimson vines has drawn our attention. We seek to understand your world's biology and technology." Elena felt a spark of defiance. "And you think kidnapping me will achieve that? I won't help you." Thrax's lips curled into a slight smile, one that did not reach his eyes. "You misunderstand, Dr. Rodriguez. You have no choice. Your knowledge is now ours, and you will cooperate, willingly or not." Before Elena could respond, two Arixian guards stepped forward, their massive hands gripping her arms with a surprising gentleness. They led her through the labyrinthine corridors of the ship, past rooms filled with strange and wondrous technologies. Despite her situation, Elena couldn't help but marvel at the advanced alien machinery. Her scientific curiosity fought with her fear, each emotion vying for dominance. They brought her to a smaller chamber, stark and sterile, furnished with a simple bed, a table, and several monitoring devices. The door closed behind her with a soft hiss, and she was left alone. The reality of her capture began to sink in, and she felt a wave of despair. She had no idea where she was, or how far from Earth she had been taken. Determined not to give in to hopelessness, Elena began to explore her new surroundings. The room was sparse, but the technology was fascinating. She examined the devices, trying to discern their purpose. One appeared to be a scanner of some sort, while another emitted a faint, rhythmic hum. As she paced the room, the door slid open, and Thrax entered, carrying a tray of food. He placed it on the table, his expression unreadable. "You will eat," he commanded. "You need your strength." Elena glared at him, refusing to be intimidated. "What do you want from me, Thrax?" He sighed, his demeanor softening slightly. "Our worlds are not so different, Dr. Rodriguez. We seek knowledge just as you do. The Crimson Vines are a mystery to us as well. We believe they hold the key to something greater, something that could benefit both our species." She crossed her arms, her defiance unwavering. "And you think imprisoning me will make me help you?" Thrax stepped closer, his eyes boring into hers. "You are valuable to us, Elena, more than you realize. Cooperate, and you will be treated with respect. Resist, and your time here will be far less pleasant." Elena held his gaze, refusing to back down. "I am not your enemy, Thrax, but I will not be your pawn either." For a moment, Thrax's expression softened, and Elena saw a flicker of something human in his eyes. "We shall see," he murmured, turning to leave. "We shall see." As the door closed behind him, Elena felt a strange mix of fear and determination. She was trapped in an alien world, surrounded by beings she didn't understand. But she was also a scientist, driven by an insatiable curiosity. She would find a way to survive, to learn, and perhaps even to turn the tables on her captors. In the depths of the Arixian ship, far from everything she knew, Elena Rodriguez began to plot her next move. The crimson skies above her were a constant reminder of the unknown, but also of the endless possibilities that lay ahead.